So, so we decided, you know, most people have this situation where they've probably overindulged and they're maybe eating things that they really didn't want to eat, or it sounded good at the time, but then they're paying for it now. So we just decided to talk about 3 tips for flavorful, everyday healthy eating, since we've already done everything else. Okay, first of all, the first big tip and the easiest thing to do of all, and it might not sound too easy, is to reduce your sugar load. Now, sugar load is very important to get rid of, and we'll talk about it in the next slide specifically. But we're not going to do a ton of slides with this. We just want you to know that that's going to be the easiest thing you do, is just change out. Think less sugar. So if it says sugar on the package, then don't eat it for right now. And maybe never, but for sure, not right now. You probably are already eating too much carbs and a lot of other things right now, because it's easy to do that. It's easy, but it does a terrible thing to our body. And what it does is it strips the body of nutrients. And so we end up with less nutrients in our body that keep us strong and healthy. So right in the middle of winter, when we need to really be improving our immune systems, we're actually stripping it of all of the nutrients we need. And our body is lacking calcium and magnesium and all the things that are going to help function from a functionality standpoint. And you can keep the good flavor still by eating fruits, but you don't want to overindulge in those because you'll have a problem with that too, because it's still sugar. But you can do stevia, and you can do things like erythritol in moderation, and you can do monk fruit, which is also a really good one that you can utilize to help move you away from using this big sugar overload that you've done.
Let me just add one other idea here. And when we were thinking about the title for this meeting tonight, we came up with Flavorful Healthy Eating. And a lot of people I talk to think, well, it's kind of like, okay, I eat all this good food that I shouldn't eat, and then I have to go back to the boring, flavorless, healthy food, you know.
Kind of,
and it's just been amazing to me to see what Cynthia especially has been able to come up with for our family by making it very healthy and taking out the stuff that isn't good for us, but the flavors are still amazing. And she's going to talk a little bit about that as we go through here with spices and oils and things, but you don't have to sacrifice great flavor to still have it be very healthy.
That is so true. And everybody thinks we do. So the second part we're going to talk about just briefly is about your pH, which is your hydrogen, the amount of hydrogen that's in your body, okay? And so I'm not going to go into all of the chemistry about it. And if you know about this, it's a really important part of your life. But if you don't know about it, you can, if you ate a lot of sugar over the holidays, your pH is almost decidedly out of balance. And you can move it back to the place where you need it to be, which is in a better place, less acid and more alkaline, so that you stay healthier. And we really want you to have a really healthy diet. And that's why we're always talking about vitamins, because they help the body maintain a really good pH. Why you want to do that is so that more oxygen can get through your body. And why do you want to do that? Because oxygen heals. And we want to heal our bodies and keep them strong and working really well. And so when we keep our pH in a balance, there's a special number that you need to have. 7.3 is about it. But you want to be there so that your body can utilize the things that will keep it more healthy for the circulatory system, for all the systems. So that's why these things are here. That's why we've got the PB Assist and the Terrazymes. Enzymes are super important. Eating well, eating your greens, keeping good fibers so that your body has good circulatory patterns really helps you to have less less disease prone kind of situations for you, and you won't be as out of balance. And the AirX is another really good thing you can do, because it's going to help the lungs open up. And then when the lungs open up, you can breathe more deeply. And when you breathe more deeply, you get more oxygen. You also release the load of toxins in your body, which is fantastic. So all of these things help do that. Okay. And well, let's go to the next slide.
Let me just add one other thing. You hear me talk a lot about lifelong vitality. I am such a believer in this. It has changed my health and my life, and I've seen it change so many other people. And I find it really interesting that we just a couple of weeks ago, doTERRA just rolled out this new healthy living line of products, which are amazing, really wonderful products. But it's so interesting that lifelong vitality is at the core, still at the core of that. And here we are, we're into it 8 years now. And this has such staying power, and it has proven itself to be such just a foundational piece of everything else we do. So
true.
Don't forget about it.
Yes. And so right now what we're talking about is eating right and also exercising. But we're going to talk about the spice cabinet. Now, I have become a gourmet. And a gourmet is somebody that uses a lot of spices and knows what they're doing with their spices. But I have become one because of doTERRA. Thank you, doTERRA. So I have this little box that I have completely full of spices that I utilize for flavoring my foods. Now, the great news is its actual food value and also its health benefits are equally good here as they are in the bottles. So you can utilize these all the time to just significantly increase your circulation, and that's super important. You get more circulation going, you get more oxygen going, you get a better pH balance going. So all of these are going to help you, if you utilize these, to increase your body's capability of moving toxins out and keeping that balance evened out as well. One of the biggest problems people have, it tends to be with their kidneys, because they have all this toxic load and their bodies can't get rid of it all. And so these things will help reduce that and remove that. But what happened for me was I started to understand how much spicing you can do until you get to the overpowering point. And I made some drastically terrible mistakes using some of these things that I quickly learned the value of a toothpick, and starting there and putting my spices in. But the spice cabinet is helping you be more healthy. And there are oils that help rev up your circulatory system, and there's some that help it slow down. So basil's a slow one down one, but things like cilantro, coriander, cumin, dill, mustard, they are all help it up. So we want to rev that engine up. Black pepper, and if you're going to use salt, make sure it's sea salt or Himalayan salt, because those two don't have the same problem of being a problem with your pH, which is interesting. So anyway, I just have some of my favorites. You can kind of tell, right? So this one is cumin. We use a lot of cumin. It gives a nice deep flavor. This is turmeric. It's kind of a middle flavor. And here is Vietnamese cinnamon. You can use any kind of cinnamon you like. And this one is a deep flavor. Also, pumpkin pie spice I use all the time for making masman, which is interesting because it has a lot of the things. And then I'll amp it up with some more clove, and I'll use clove out of the bottles here. And I also like to do lemongrass with the cilantro, and I always use the lemongrass that's in these bottles rather than using it from the herb. Love it that way. It's so fantastic. Coriander. So all of these come in the doTERRA products. I actually don't use the turmeric that way, but I only use the turmeric powdered. But you can get so many of these in oil form, and then you can toothpick them in and get this incredible flavor. And then you can put the other ones on top of it if you want the color, or you like the added kind of evenness that you can have between using the both. So I love that about it. And as far as pH is concerned, absolutely helps those foods that maybe you weren't thinking you wanted to eat as much, your vegetables. And we know things just don't taste quite as good if they're not sugar, right? Okay.
Let me share
Or
an
deep
interesting
fried.
experience that we just had here recently in our home. We have a son living with us who's engaged to be married, and he has a number of health issues that he deals with, and including well, he has restrictions on gluten. He's gluten free, and then no nightshades
And
are
he's sugar
important.
free, actually.
Sugar free, gluten free, and
And
nightshades
and he
are
can do
completely
fruits.
out.
Mm-hmm.
So he and his fiancee have been talking to caterers for their wedding, and it's interesting. They talk to the caterer and they say, "Okay, can you do gluten free?" Yes, we can do gluten free. Can you do no nightshades? Well, no nightshades includes
Onions
onion and garlic.
and
And
bell
these
peppers.
people are chefs, and they go, I can't make food that the people will eat it without garlic and onions. And it's kind of mind-boggling that when Cynthia makes, and now Jacob, our son, makes food for him and using these spices and this approach, and I taste that food and it is just alive with flavor. It just bursts with flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even notice that it has no onions and no garlic. It's amazing
Yeah.
what you can do with the right spices and the right
Yeah.
combination of flavors that they just pop. It's really incredible.
So I have two spice cabinets, plus I have spice cabinets over here, plus I have spice cabinets over there. And we use a lot of added spices to really make our food fun. So let's go to the next one. So, oh, there was one more thing that we were going to talk about.
Oh, which one?
I can't remember.
The RX?
Yeah, RX.
Okay.
So it's okay. Let me just explain a little bit about, there are so many diseases that happen as a result of having your pH out of balance. There's so many things when your body has too much acid and or too much alkaline, but mostly for us, it's that we have too much acid in our systems. It strips the body of nutrients, and then the body has to try to figure out how to do things for itself, how to make everything work with what's inside of us already. So glutathione um, and many other things get stripped out of the body. Well, I talked about the magnesium and calcium before. And so we need to find a way, and B vitamins, which, that's why we take supplements, is to add it all back in so that we're on top of all that. We want to make sure we do it. And if you can't get some of the products that are the new ones that doTERRA has now, know that you can do a lot of it kind of on your own. It's a lot more difficult, but we'll keep talking about what doTERRA has created just recently over the next few months. We won't be talking about it all the time, but we'll be talking about it so you can see it. And I also have a gourmet in a day cookbook that I'm going to give anybody that wants one from today. You can get onto the chat and just say that you'd like the gourmet in a day cookbook, and we'll make sure you get that. And this is something that I drink a lot. Helps with keeping my body alkaline. This is cranberry water. I put just cranberry juice in there, 1/4 cup, and then the rest of this is just water. And I'll drink 2 of those or more a day. And then I drink water in the morning with lemon oil. And sometimes if I have lemons, I'll use the lemons, but I often just use lemon oil, and I'll use it all day. And I'll also use tangerine because that helps to support the liver in the middle of all this. So, it might have sounded like a lot, but it's all packaged up nicely in the new Healthy You programs that doTERRA's created. Plus, I'll send you my gourmet day, and then we have other, if you want to know specific recipes, we have a ton of recipes for people who are very specific in their diets because we've had to live that a lot in our homes. So we hope that you will be able to do these 3 tips. 1 is reduce your sugar load. 2 is increase your pH balance. And then third is use spices. Spice up your life a little bit. And don't forget your lifelong vitality. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.